Alright, hello and welcome to 2 Hour Review, where I play the first 2 hours of a game I found for free on Jolt and give you my first impressions of the game and whether I recommend giving it a shot or not. Today, we're going to be talking about Bittersweet Birthday. So without further ado, let's move on to the review. The story starts off with you waking up in a lone room, disoriented and confused. You start to hear the sounds of a stranger's voice coming through the comms in the building you're in. The stranger tells you that you're trapped in an underground facility and asks you if you remember anything about yourself or how you came to be there in the first place. He then goes on to inform you that you're not alone in the facility and that whatever's down there with you is not friendly in the slightest. In order to survive and escape, you're going to have to trust the voice coming from the comms and follow what they want you to do, hopefully recovering your memories in the process. As you start to explore the facility, you start to make out some kind of monster has escaped the containment. It's not long after that the monster shows itself, and it starts posing all kinds of weird questions in the player's mind. Like, what is this strange bird boy looking thing and why did they make it in the first place? On top of that, why does it have this weird god complex that directly contradicted when its confidence wavers for a second the second time you come across it? Your character starts to have this weird brain ache, and the bird seems uncomfortable and genuinely upset, and maybe even scared of the character. Immediately after that, the voice on the comm starts acting weird, as well as making me not trust his actions. He supposedly has control of the comms and all the doors, but for some reason he needs something behind this specific door that he can't open at the moment, and says you're going to have to kill this bird boy in order to give him more time to figure out how to open the door. But how he does it really makes me think for some reason this game doesn't want me to kill this bird, or that if I do there's going to be some kind of revelation that's going to make me feel like a total monster for just blindly following the instructions of a random voice in a box. So after the strange encounters with both the bird boy and the voice box, you're on to confront the bird in the room above. The bird also puts emphasis on killing him right before the fight begins, and this is where I want to introduce you to the gameplay mechanics. The gameplay is like Enter the Gungeon or Binding of Isaac in some ways, but very much has its own identity. You can dodge and attack, but instead of your attacks being projectiles, you have a sword swipe, so you're going to have to get up close and personal with the enemy. And that's where a lot of the difficulty comes in with this game, because did I mention, this game is hard. So since I'm only doing a review of the first 2 hours of the game, I only got to the first boss fight against the monster that has been harassing us up until this point. His main way of attacking is using his feathers as projectiles. Trying to get close enough to him to land a hit isn't that hard at first, but then you realize this bird boy is packing multiple health bars and starts to pick up the pace with his feathers. Then add on times in battle where you can't hit him at all till he's done with his special attack, and it makes for a very difficult challenge. Now this is where I have some complaints with the gameplay. Before I start criticizing the game though, I do want to say I really do enjoy this game, and someone definitely poured their heart and soul into it, especially for a free game on Game Jolt. And I wanted everyone to take my criticisms with a grain of salt. So, you see, the game specifically tells you at the beginning, as soon as you boot it up, that you should play with a controller, but for some reason, I couldn't get my PS4 or Xbox One controller to work with the game. I'm not sure if it was my cord or my controller or even just my PC, but I could not get it to work whatsoever. And with that out of the way, onto my problems with the game. I used two different control styles while playing the game. The first one I used was the default one, which has you using WASD to move around and E to interact with objects when you're not in combat. And when you're in combat, you also use the space button to dodge enemies and J to do light attacks, and then you can also use K to use a medium kick. And then for the second style that I used while playing it, everything I said is exactly the same, except for the fact that light attack is on the mouse click button instead. Both styles are good, but what I found when I was playing is that you can attack faster when you use the mouse click button over just pressing the J button over and over. And this would just be a personal preference if it wasn't for the fact that they don't give you an option to also move the medium attack over to the mouse button. And the medium attack is important because I forgot to mention this, but after you deal a certain amount of damage to the monster, it'll start to blink red. And if you use a medium attack, you can knock it down and deal a ton of damage to it. And this is crucial because it also restores your stamina as well, which is used for literally everything in combat, from attacking to dodging. So trying to manage your stamina is crucial. And the main problem for me is that in high paces that the game demands from you, when things really start to speed up, I have to move my hand from the mouse from attacking to the keyboard to hit the K button, which causes me to miss more often than not, failing to knock the enemy down, and making an already high-paced and difficult combat situation even harder than that. But other than that small complaint, the controls are tight and work well. I unfortunately just wasn't that good at the game. That got difficult. It. Okay. Damn it. God damn it. In conclusion, in just the first 2 hours of the game, it hooked me with an interesting mystery and premise that got me invested enough to spend 2 hours dying over and over again. Oh, the bombs every time. Yep, yep. Oh, avoid those things. Dang it. God damn it. But yeah, I highly recommend you check out the game for yourself. I'll be putting a link down in the description below. You can download it there on Game Jolt. If you want to check out some of my other videos, will put the playthrough for the original run that I did, and I'm actually going to try to do a full playthrough of the game. Hopefully here soon. I'll be uploading another video tomorrow, probably. And other than that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.